It is Queen Jaae. Some of you may know me by my legal name, but that's no more. You know me as Queen Jaae now. Queen Jaae or Queen. Only people that I F with can call me Jaae because privileges. So I really just wanted to shed a little light about who I am and what I do because for one, I be rebranding like every month. And I know I have a lot of new followers, a lot of new people I've been meeting. And I know y'all be wondering, what the F? What do Queen be talking about? Tell me. You feel me? So that's what today is going to serve as. So, as I said, I am Queen Jaae. That is J, 2 A's, 1 E. And that name started out as my pro dominatrix name when I joined Black Dom Sorority for safety purposes. Y'all don't need to know my last name. Y'all don't need to know my first name. Y'all don't need to know my family, my background, none of that. So it's Queen Jaae. And I popped up out of nowhere as much and as long as you know, as much as you know, as far as whatever the saying is, as far as you know. There you go. I am a sex educator, a teacher at heart. I am a sex coach and a pro dominatrix. That is who I am. One of the most commonly asked questions that I get is, how did I get into this work, especially being, a sex educator and a sex coach? Honestly, life brought me here. Like, I honestly know for a fact that this is the work that I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be teaching people about sex education, sensuality, sensual expression, sexuality, anatomy, just everything under the word of sexuality. Now, just to let you know, sexuality is way more than just sex. It's self-esteem, it's relationships, it's sensual expression, it's sensuality, it's confidence, it's all of that stuff. I just ask if you're going to be rocking with me, following me, subscribing, just be open-minded. I'm not asking you to practice anything that you don't want to practice, but just take a step out of the perspective that you've been living in this whole time that is most likely conditioned anyway. But yes, so honestly, sex has been, or I'll say pleasure. Pleasure has been a part of my life, my whole life. I did not come across it by choice, but it is what it is. And we take our trauma and we roll and learn from it. You feel me? Because now a queen is bigger and badder because of the things we gone through. But yeah, literally my whole life, pleasure has been a very, very, very big part of me. Maybe it has to do with me being a Scorpio. Who knows? Maybe it has to do with all this fineness, this beauty, this melanin, this queen energy. But yes, I'm supposed to be here. Let's just put it like that. And so I'll say where my journey really started to start was high school. There were a few different points in my high school career where, I had me a little crush, little dudes to flirt with, and that eventually led to other things. And so this was before I started having sex. I found out that I enjoyed fellatio. I enjoyed giving head to men, to these particular young men. And I remember just looking up and researching the anatomy of a man's penis. I would look up, like what's the most pleasurable spot, how to give good head, all these different tricks and stuff. And that's where my interest in sexuality started to take root, you feel me? From there, actually, I do remember in middle school, that's when I first heard the word orgasm. This dude was explaining it to me, and it just really sparked my interest. I mean, I didn't do anything with the information, even though I was experiencing orgasms from a very, very, very young age. But, you know, it's kind of just like, oh, okay, cool, that's kind of interesting. But, you know, the messages that I was getting, of course, I wasn't about to dive into that. So then high school happened. I found out my love for fellatio, researching just for fun. And it kind of like grew out of that, researching about my own body, researching about female anatomy, anything under the sun that I could think of that I was being exposed to and intrigued by, I would be on Google. And so I was also a avid sexter in my later years of high school, like probably my senior year. And I just, even though I always received either silence or negative consequences off of being sexual, I was still always very intrigued, still always very much interested, and I still very much taught myself and explored. Around my sophomore year was when it really started becoming official. Sophomore year in college, I had just gotten out of a toxic relationship, and I found this position on campus to be a peer educator in the sexual assault and relationship violence department. Now, this is really the thing that like everything just really clicked, and I really started finding my passion a little bit, not to the full extent, but I found this position. I had just gotten out of a toxic relationship, and so it was just really natural to teach other college students about, for one, relationship violence, toxic relationships, red flags, things like that, but also sexual assault. And it was just different things that I experienced throughout my life as a child, growing up, as a young adult, that never sat right with me. And I was being exposed to these different experiences and relationships and jobs that was really intriguing the part of me that felt like it was missing something. And so I really enjoyed that position because it was just so many things that I feel like, especially like we should have been knew a lot of those things before getting to college. And so that's when I'm like, okay, something's not right. There's a huge gap in education and conversation with adults that kids and young adults aren't able to have with trusted adults. And so I really appreciated that position because even if I just helped I helped myself for one. So I know for a fact that it wasn't a waste. But even if I just helped one other person, it gave me so much pride because sexual assault and relationship violence are just two of the most common things that happen to people. And it shouldn't be the case, especially unintentionally. There's a lot of unhealthy and toxic behavior that isn't necessarily intentional, but because of different narratives and lessons that were taught just throughout life, society, parents, jokes, things like that, that we're teaching us the wrong things or missing the mark on the things that we were being taught. I really appreciated that job and that opportunity to learn those things for myself and to help other people learn those things as well. So the first class, my freshman year, the history of sex and sexuality, it was interesting. It definitely caught my attention. It was one of my favorite classes, but it didn't really open my eyes to anything that I wanted to do as a career. I thought I still wanted to be a psychologist at that point. But then it was the class my senior year where I had to take human sexuality for my degree. And that's when everything clicked. That's when I'm like, okay, this is what I'm passionate about. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is what I want to do. That was the first time I knew that I could use my degree towards a sex related job. So, of course, that caught my attention. I was very much intrigued. And so I just went down the rabbit hole of looking at all these different possibilities of what I can do. in the realm of sex education. Then I found Shannon Boodrum. This was my senior year. I'm like, oh, she's a sex coach, she's a sex educator. Why didn't I ever know that this position existed? And so I figured out how I could get like her. So that's when I started with my blog. So if y'all remember my original site, Raw Insight, where I was just writing blogs about different sex, pleasure, and relationship topics. And it was a hoot. Those blogs will be coming back with my new website. I will be posting the old blogs onto my new site, and also will be adding new blogs. But yeah, that's how I got here. It was just like life. When you are open and accepting to change and redirection, the universe will place you exactly where you're supposed to be. And so I thank the universe that I have been so open-minded and so flexible in my adult years to where they placed me here. Universe placed me where I am today. This is exactly what I needed to do, because for everything that I had to do trial and error to figure out, now we are in a society where we are talking about these things more. It's more acceptable. And I just enjoy being a part of that change. I enjoy teaching my mom or teaching my aunts about different sexuality or relationship tips and information. My sister, like, I really appreciate being a part of other people's growth, especially in such a taboo area, because I like to be out the box. But yes, that is my story and how I became who I am today as a sex educator and a sex coach. And we're still on this journey. We are still growing. We are still developing. Hop on this train and ride along with us. Support, ride with me. And let's see where we go. Let's see where the journey takes us. I know it's to some great heights, but we're patient. Another thing I feel like I've been asked a lot is, what is my top advice as a sex educator? And my top advice is to take the time to figure out what type of life you want, whether that be in sex, relationships, or any other area. Take the time to recondition yourself, reparent yourself, and find out what it is you're passionate about, what you desire, and what you want your life to look like. Figure that out and make it happen for you. Along with that, it's just to listen to your soul. Your soul and your body tells you exactly what you need to know and exactly what you need to hear. It tells you when you're going down the path that you don't need to go down. It tells you when you're doing exactly what you need to do. It tells you what it needs. It tells you what it desires. It tells you what, just all of that stuff. Your body and your soul, it communicates with you. It tells you what resides with you, and, it reshifts you. It is so important to realize what it feels like for your body to talk to you, because your body also tells you what your yeses and your nos are. And I feel like that's just so important when it comes to sexuality, because whether we like it or not, we're all conditioned. We are all told certain messages, taught certain things, and constantly placed in front of certain messages to make us think a certain way and have certain beliefs. But your body and your soul will tell you whether you reside with that information. And so for me, everything that I was told verbally or in action, especially, when it comes to sexuality, none of it sat right with me. I would get in trouble. I mean, of course, yes, I was too young doing some of the things I was doing, but instead of being told that it was completely wrong or dirty, or, getting in trouble for these things, especially things that I had no control over or no say so, it would have been better to be sat down and educated a little bit, you know? But I was pretty much told not to be curious about my body at a very young age. And sex is natural. It's literally a part of human nature. If you know about the triangle of needs, at the very bottom with shelter, food, and water is sex. So it's natural. There's no running away from sex. But we're always given these messages to be ashamed of sexual activity, even though we're still going to be curious because it's natural. Now, yes, there is a such thing as age appropriate or developmentally appropriate behavior and habits, but there just needs to be more education and conversation so that kids growing up know their boundaries as a kid instead of exploring outside of the tiny hole that you try to place them in. Knowing your own beliefs without conditioning in your own body are the first steps to an empowering sex life or even sensual life. You don't even have to have sex. That's why a lot of times you'll see me use sensuality versus sexuality, because people hear sexuality and think it automatically means sex or sexual activity. And that's not always the case. Even just being comfortable with your body, feeling sexy, feeling confident enough to, like, you know, move your body and dance, even that is important. Now, as a sex coach, which I know a lot of you are probably sitting like, what is that? So sex coaching is like life coaching, but for sex and relationships. And so as a sex coach, what I do is I coach people, I guide people in reaching their desired goal, but emphasis on their desired goal. Not everything is a sexual concern. Just because you may be different than the majority does not mean it's a dysfunction. So what we do is we teach people that the only time that something should be of concern is if it gives you distress. If it impedes how you wish your life to look like in any way, that's when you should consider a concern and, you know, go to somebody professional to help you with your concern. And so with concerns, sexual concerns, or what can also be called disorders or dysfunctions, but we don't like to use those words because we do not medicalize or pathologize or prescribe. But with sexual concerns, what ends up happening is a lot of them root from psychological factors. The conditioning, the shaming, the guilt trips, and the silencing of sex, of sexuality, of sensuality. And so it's like your brain, your mind, and your body are fighting against each other to where it's so much stuff up here going on that your body can't relax to enjoy sex or to orgasm X, Y, and Z. And so as a sex coach, a lot of the work that we do is reprogramming, re-educating, and kind of building you up based off of the beliefs that you want, that you wish to have instead of what you were told to have. And so I am getting up and running with that business, and services are available. I will put the link below. I'll put a couple links below. If your sex and relationship life isn't looking like how you wish for it to look like, you come to me. Now, outside of education and coaching, I am also a professional dominatrix. And what brought me to that was finding Mistress Marley in her sorority, Black Dom Sorority, which is of all Black and Latinx femmes in the kink community. And honestly, when I say I'm so glad that I found this community, this is the first time I've ever felt like I found my people. Very first time ever in life, like literally no exaggeration. I won't speak too much on that on here, but you know, if you want to know more, you'll figure out how to find me. I guess I'll talk about some of my services. So the services that I offer are my sex coach services, which are one-on-one or with couples. I also will be adding workshops and events, group settings to my services very soon. I also do guest appearances on any platform, YouTube, podcast stuff, Instagram Live, Facebook, but that is not for free. Then I also have my pro dominatrix services, which we're not going to talk about that here. If you want to know more, you'll figure out how to find me. It's easy, it's laid out real simple. But before my phone starts messing up again, we're gonna end this video. Thank you for tuning in. As always, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and turn my notifications on. Also share this video with your friends. Pull them in, you know. And until next time, Queen Jaae wishes you peace, prosperity, abundance, and happiness and pleasure.